The invitation to Sunday dinner had seemed innocent enough. Mom's text was casual: family dinner this weekend. Important discussion. Be there at 6. I should have known something was off when she actually set a place for me at the table. Usually I was the afterthought, the extra chair squeezed in between my more successful siblings. I'm Michael, the middle child, sandwiched between my older brother James, the brilliant surgeon, and my younger sister Emma, the rising star attorney. To my parents, I was just the computer guy who played with websites for a living. The roast beef was barely served when Mom cleared her throat. We've gathered you all here because your father and I have finalized our will. Dad nodded solemnly, pulling out an official-looking document. We want to be transparent about our decisions while we're still here. I kept eating, already knowing where this was going. James sat up straighter while Emma pulled out her phone, probably to document everything like the lawyer she was. James, Mom smiled at her firstborn, will inherit the house and the vacation property in Florida. Emma will receive all our investments and the family jewelry collection. She paused, placing her hand dramatically on the will. And Michael. She looked me straight in the eye. You won't get a single cent. The room fell silent except for the soft clink of my fork against the plate as I took another bite of roast beef. It was overcooked as usual. Nothing to say? Dad pressed, clearly expecting some kind of reaction. I dabbed my mouth with the napkin. Actually, yes. If I'm not getting a single cent from you, then don't expect a single cent from me either. What's that supposed to mean? Emma scoffed. It's not like you have anything to give. I slowly set my fork and knife down and stood up. You might want to Google me sometime. Or better yet, check your phone's security settings. You're using my software right now. You're what? James looked confused. Secure Shield. I smiled as Emma's face went pale. That's my company. The cybersecurity system protecting most major banks, government agencies, and yes, your precious phones. I designed it. Mom's hand trembled on the will. But you just make websites. No, Mom. That's what you chose to believe because it fit your narrative of the unsuccessful middle child. I pulled out my phone, showing them the latest Forbes article. Secure Shield CEO Michael Anderson's net worth hits $2.1 billion. That's impossible, Dad stammered. Actually, it's quite possible. And since you've made your position clear, let me make mine clear too. I opened my calendar app. Mom, remember that medical procedure you've been waiting for? The one only James's hospital offers? I was going to pay for it privately next month. Consider that cancelled. Mom's face went white. The procedure would cost over $200,000 without insurance. And Dad, that debt consolidation loan you asked about last week? The one that would save your business? I was going to handle it through my private investment firm. But since I'm not getting a single cent from you, you won't be getting a single cent from me. You can't do this, Emma protested. We're family. Family. I laughed. Is that what you call it when you steal your brother's college fund for law school? When you convince Dad to use my trust fund for James's medical residency? I turned to my parents. You know what's funny? I've been quietly supporting this family for years. Paying off debts, covering medical bills, keeping Dad's struggling business afloat. All anonymously through shell companies because I wanted to see if you'd ever recognize my worth without knowing about my money. The silence was deafening as they processed this information. The beach house in Florida? I continued. I own it. Bought it last year when it was about to be foreclosed. The investment portfolio Emma's supposed to inherit? I've been managing it, turning your losses into gains. Even this house. I paid off the mortgage 6 months ago when you were about to default. Why didn't you tell us? Mom whispered. Because I wanted to see if I mattered to you without the money. Clearly I don't. I picked up my jacket and headed for the door. Oh, and one more thing, you might want to check your phones tomorrow. Secure Shield is launching a major update, but somehow, your devices might not be compatible anymore. Funny how technology works, isn't it? The next few weeks were a masterclass in consequences. True to my word, I withdrew all financial support from my family's various ventures. It was fascinating how quickly their carefully constructed facade began to crumble. First came the calls about their phones, not just inconvenient glitches, but complete lockouts from the Secure Shield system that protected everything from their banking apps to their email accounts. This is harassment. Emma screamed into my voicemail. I can't access any of my case files. Of course she couldn't. Her law firm, like most major firms, used SecureShield's Enterprise Security Suite. It was amazing how many compatibility issues could arise when the CEO personally flagged certain users. James was next. His hospital's administrative system started experiencing technical difficulties, specifically with his access to the scheduling system for his precious private patients. "Fix this," he demanded during an unexpected visit to my office. He stopped short when he saw the view from the top floor of the city's most expensive building. "This is yours." "The whole building actually," I replied, not looking up from my tablet. "I bought it last year when I was feeling sentimental. It's where Dad's office used to be before his business started failing. The business I was secretly keeping afloat." "About that," he shifted uncomfortably. "Dad's suppliers are demanding payment. The business loans are no longer my concern," I finished. "Just like I'm no longer your concern according to the will." "But Mom's surgery is scheduled for next month at Boston General," I nodded. "Unfortunately, her insurance claim was denied. Something about pre-existing conditions. Of course, I could have handled it privately, but..." I gestured to an envelope on my desk, a copy of the will they'd so proudly presented. My assistant Sarah entered with the morning reports. "Mr. Anderson, the bank called about your father's business loan. They're initiating foreclosure proceedings. Also, your sister's law firm is online too. Something about their security system." "Let them sweat," I replied, watching James's face as he realized just how deeply I'd been involved in keeping our family functional. "Michael," he tried a different approach, "we didn't know about your success, about everything you've done for us." "That's the point, James. You never bothered to know anything about me. Too busy being the golden child, the successful surgeon who couldn't even pay his own student loans." His face reddened. "What do you mean?" I pulled up some files on my screen. "Who do you think paid off your $300,000 in medical school debt? Or funded your research projects? The mysterious Anderson Foundation that's been supporting your career? That's me. But that would mean that your entire career was built on support from the brother you helped exclude from the will? Ironic, isn't it?" My phone buzzed, a text from Emma. "The partners are threatening to demote me if our system access isn't restored. Please, I'm begging you." I showed James the message. Funny how quickly success crumbles when its foundation is pulled away. "What do you want?" he asked quietly. "Want?" I stood up, walking to the window. "I wanted a family that valued me for who I was, not what I could give them. I wanted parents who didn't steal my college fund and trust fund for their favorite children. I wanted siblings who didn't treat me like a failure because I chose a different path." "We can fix this," he pleaded. "No, James. You can't fix 15 years of dismissal and disrespect with an apology forced by desperation." Sarah appeared again. "Your mother's here. She's quite insistent." I sighed. "Send her up. Let's complete this family reunion of regret." Mom burst in, looking disheveled, a far cry from her usual polished appearance. "Michael, please. The hospital wants full payment up front now. James says you're the only one who can help. Like you helped me." I pulled out an old photo me at 18 holding my college acceptance letter. "Like when you told me college wasn't necessary for computer stuff, while emptying my savings for Emma's law school? We did what we thought was best." "No," I corrected her, "you did what was best for your favorite children. And now you can watch them handle their lives without my invisible support." I pressed a button and a large screen on the wall lit up with a series of transactions, hundreds of payments, loans and financial maneuvers I'd orchestrated over the years to keep our family appearing successful. Every car lease, every mortgage payment, every medical bill, I pointed to the screen. All handled quietly by the son you wrote out of your will. Mom sank into a chair, her carefully maintained world crumbling around her. "We didn't know." "That's not an excuse, Mom. That's the problem. You never bothered to know anything about my life because it didn't fit your narrow definition of success." The following month brought changes none of them could have anticipated. Dad's business, without my hidden support, finally collapsed under its debt. The building that had housed Anderson and Sons for 40 years was sold at auction, to one of my shell companies, naturally. Emma's law firm demoted her when several major clients threatened to leave due to ongoing technical issues with their security system. Suddenly, the rising star attorney was handling basic case files in a basement office. James's private practice crumbled as his wealthy patients, unable to schedule through the malfunctioning system, found other doctors. The research grants from the Anderson Foundation dried up, leaving his prestigious projects unfunded. And Mom? Well, Boston General's billing department was surprisingly inflexible about requiring payment upfront for elective procedures. I watched it all from my office, tracking their desperate attempts to maintain the facade of success they'd built on my silent support. The country club membership lapsed. The luxury car leases ended. The carefully curated social media posts about family wealth and achievement stopped. Then came the newspaper article that broke them completely. Tech billionaire Michael Anderson reveals family's rejection in exclusive interview. I hadn't planned on going public, but when Forbes approached me about a cover story on SecureShield's latest innovation, the truth came out. The journalist digging into my background discovered the will incident. The story wrote itself. Mr. Anderson, Sarah interrupted my thoughts, your father's here. He looks different. Dad entered my office and for the first time in my life he looked small. Gone was the expensive suit, replaced by off-the-rack clothing. The confident swagger had disappeared, leaving behind an old man facing the consequences of his choices. The business is gone, he said without preamble. Everything I built. Everything you built on my hidden support, I corrected. The loans, the supplier payments, the mysterious client who always placed large orders when you were about to miss payroll. All me. He sank into a chair. Why didn't you tell us? Would it have mattered? I turned my screen toward him, showing an email from 10 years ago, him dismissing my offer to help modernize the business. You told me to stick to my little website games and let the real businessmen handle things. I was wrong, he whispered. Yes, you were. About the business, about me, about everything. My phone buzzed. Emma again. The partners are discussing termination. Please, Michael. I'll lose everything. Like I lost my college fund? I showed Dad the message. Or my trust fund. Or any chance at family support because I chose technology over law or medicine. We can change the will, he offered desperately. I laughed. You still don't get it. This was never about the money. I make more in a day than your entire estate is worth. This was about respect, about recognition, about being valued as a son rather than dismissed as a disappointment. I pulled up another screen, a live feed of the old Anderson and Sons building being renovated. I'm turning it into a technology education center, giving opportunities to kids whose families don't believe in their dreams. The irony isn't lost on me. Your mother's surgery. He started. Is scheduled for next week at Mayo Clinic, I finished. Not because you deserve my help but because I'm not you. I don't withhold medical care to prove a point. He looked up sharply. You're paying for it? Through a charitable foundation, anonymously. She'll never know. Just like she never knew about all the other times I helped. The difference is this time there won't be any more help after this. Sarah entered with more updates. The renovation team had found something in Dad's old office. A box of my childhood achievements. Science fair ribbons, coding competition trophies, early software patents. All stuffed away, forgotten and ignored. I kept those, Dad said quietly. But never acknowledged them, I replied. Because they didn't fit your narrative of success. I stood up, walking to my wall of achievements, awards, recognitions, magazine covers. You know what's funny? Every time I won an award, launched a successful product or made a breakthrough, I waited for you to notice. To show even a fraction of the pride you showed when James completed his residency or Emma made partner. We notice now, he offered weakly. No, you notice the money now. The power. The success you can't dismiss anymore. But it's too late. My phone lit up with a news alert. SecureShield announces revolutionary new security protocol. Stock soars. Below was a photo of me ringing the stock exchange bell, surrounded by admiring investors and industry leaders. The son you wrote out of your will, I gestured to the headline, just added another $1 billion to his net worth this morning. The computer stuff you dismissed? It's now protecting governments, banks and corporations worldwide. Dad stood slowly, age and defeat visible in every movement. What happens now? Now, you all learn to live within your actual means. No more hidden support, no more mysterious financial rescues. Emma can rebuild her career from the bottom like she should have done initially. James can practice medicine without the artificial boost of my foundations. And you and Mom can retire on what you actually saved, not what I secretly provided. And you? I'll continue building something meaningful. The Technology Center will help kids whose families don't believe in their dreams. The Anderson Foundation will support medical research through other hospitals, not James's. And every time you see my name in the news, you'll remember the son you didn't think deserved a place in your will. As he left, I opened my laptop to approve the final designs for the Technology Center. Above the entrance would be a quote: "Success is the best revenge, but wisdom is knowing when to stop supporting those who never supported you." 1 year later, I stood at the podium during the opening ceremony of the Anderson Technology Center. The building that once housed my father's failing business now buzzed with young innovators, their dreams unrestricted by family expectations. In the back row I spotted them, my family, looking older and humbler. Mom, recovered from her surgery but no longer draped in expensive jewelry. Dad, driving a modest car instead of his luxury sedan. James and Emma, their careers rebuilt from scratch without my invisible support. They'd asked to attend and I'd allowed it. Not for reconciliation, that bridge had burned with the will, but for education. Let them watch as I transformed their symbol of traditional success into something more meaningful. A place where young dreamers could pursue their passions without judgment. Success, I told the eager faces in the audience, isn't measured by meeting others' expectations. It's measured by exceeding your own. This center stands as proof that sometimes, the greatest achievements come from those who were told they wouldn't achieve anything at all. As I cut the ribbon, the crowd erupted in applause. My family stood silently, finally understanding what they'd thrown away, not just my inheritance but the chance to be part of something revolutionary. Their loss, their choice, their regret.